don't deserve to be a king anymore.
يلا شباب يلا. يلا شباب يلا. This is one of the victims. This is police and Al Khalifa government. They said they want dialogue. This is dialogue. Tell Khalifa and Hamad, this is dialogue. They are liar. They are not liar. They are killer. They should go away. No chance.
The protesters are marching on state-owned Bahrain TV, complaining about the biased coverage of their campaign. Abda Ali Al-Singas, in his blood-soaked shirt, cradled a dying man in his arms. As a result, he's more desperate than most to keep people on the streets, to sustain pressure on the regime. The worry among protesters is that if dialogue is accepted, it will drag on. International attention will shift elsewhere, and in the meantime, those that spoke out will be targeted. And this isn't Egypt or Tunisia. Behind the bland exterior gate is a security force that is not minded to change sides. If the system doesn't change, and if past performance is anything to go by, these protesters, who have put their heads above the parapet to challenge their regime, will be in serious jeopardy.
Well, what would happen if this revolution didn't work? I think we're gonna be destroyed with all means. I think they're gonna target one by one. Whoever appeared on a camera, the thing is, we stand brave enough to call the whole world that we don't want this regime to be in power anymore. So I think they have enough evidence. Whoever speak against them would be a target for them in the future. So I think it's gonna be really dangerous. And I believe it's all about win or die.
And that's it for this edition of People in Power. If you'd like to comment on this film or anything else, then we'd love to hear from you on aljazeera.net/English. Until next time, goodbye.
Business Latest is brought to you by Qatar Tourism Authority. Business Latest is brought to you by Qatar Tourism Authority.
All the news, all the time. AlJazeera.net/English.
To invest in a country with the largest youth population as compared to the EU countries, please push the button. For more power to your global business, invest in Turkey.
Mental disorders affect millions of Chinese citizens. But with a chronic lack of support, is this a social time bomb threatening to leave victims and broken families in its wake? 101 East, at this time on Al Jazeera.
To intervene or not to intervene.
A no-fly zone begins with an attack on Libya.
As NATO draws contingency plans,
including potential military options,
and Europe seeks UN authorization,
the current UN mandate does not authorize the use of armed forces.
We ask, is a no-fly zone just the beginning?
Once again, we are being tested.
And how will military interference affect Libya and the revolution beyond? Empire, at this time on Al Jazeera.
From local traders to international finance, it's commerce that makes the world go round. For global companies and developing markets, communication is the currency, and information is the most valuable commodity. Counting the cost at this time on Al Jazeera.
This is Al Jazeera.
Welcome to the News Hour. I'm Anand Naidu from Al Jazeera's news center in Doha and live from AlJazeera, Moscow, Brussels and Sanaa. These are the main stories. Libyan warplanes launch new airstrikes on the rebel-held oil town of Ras Lanuf.
I'm Jackie Rowland in eastern Libya, where pro-Gaddafi forces are attacking rebel fighters from the west, the south and also from the sea.
I'm Tanya Page, live in Brussels, where NATO leaders are preparing to debate the possibility of a no-fly zone.
Too little, too late. Yemen's opposition rejects a reform offer from the president. And thousands of Palestinians watch their national football team play their first ever competitive match on home soil. Across Europe, diplomatic efforts are building in response to Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi's crackdown on the uprising against him. Envoys from Libya's opposition National Council are currently in Paris holding talks with President Nicolas Sarkozy. NATO defense ministers and EU foreign ministers are meeting in Brussels to discuss military options, including a proposed no-fly zone. And Russia has announced a ban on weapons sales to Tripoli. More on that coming up, but first let's look at what's been happening on the ground in Libya. In AlZawiya, rebels say they've retaken control of the city. Pro-Gaddafi forces, seen celebrating here, deny the claim. Doctors say dozens have been killed in the fighting there. In the oil port city of Bin Jawad, rebels, unable to hold off Libyan troops, have been pushed back by a heavy attack from the sea. And forces loyal to Gaddafi have launched new strikes on the oil town of Ras Lanuf, a day after warplanes bombed oil installations there. For more on what's happening on the ground, let's go live now to Jackie Rowland, who's in the rebel-held eastern city of AlJazeera. And Jackie, we're hearing these claims and counterclaims by both sides on exactly what they hold. What is the status of this battle on the ground?
Well, the status is quite clear that the pro-Gaddafi forces are really intensifying their counter-assault against the rebels. The latest that we've heard on Thursday is that the Gaddafi forces now are attacking by land from the west, along the coastal road. They're also attacking from the south, from the desert, and a key development, they're attacking as well from the sea to the north. This clearly is a concerted effort to rout the rebels from their westernmost positions, and it comes on the heels of intense fighting between the two sides the day before. The attack comes from the sky. Pro-Gaddafi forces unleash a savage counter-offensive against the town of Ras Lanuf. Rebel fighters on the ground are sitting